Here we are out in Moab, about ready to start 7 Mile Rim with the brand new Sequoia.
And special thanks to Equipped for supporting today's podcast. More than 15 years ago, Equipped Expedition Outfitters became the first American company to import the best-in-breed vehicle expedition equipment from across the globe. Since their humble beginnings, they have risen to become a go-to leader within the adventure travel industry, continuing to deliver a diverse portfolio of reliable, long-lasting products backed by unparalleled customer service. From shelter solutions from Easy On to portable fridges from National Luna to aluminum storage boxes from Alubox, their ever-growing selection of best-in-class gear increases your capability, comfort, and confidence during any adventure. Visit equippedone.com to gear up.
Let's talk about the new 2023 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. So is this as close as we're going to get to a Toyota Land Cruiser from North America? For the time being, yes, although we expect for that to change a little bit in the coming years, but it is very much a Land Cruiser. In fact, it shares many of the same components of the Land Cruiser. It has the chassis of the Land Cruiser, the F-Series chassis. It also has the same suspension architecture, same rear axle, has a very similar front differential, and then it departs slightly from the Land Cruiser in the fact that it has a part-time transfer case as opposed to all-wheel drive transfer case. Then it has the same gas engine that you would see from a 300 series Land Cruiser in the Middle East. So it's a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 that's available in a hybrid variant. So you get 435 horsepower and 580 plus foot-pounds of torque. But for us as Overlanders, the thing that's really important is the improved off-highway capability of this next generation Sequoia. So it's going to be available with a rear locking differential. So it has a coilover in the front, shocks in the rear, progressive rate coils in the rear. And then we've also got a 33-inch diameter Falcon Wild Peak tire on 18-inch wheels. So these are the critical updates that are available for the Sequoia for this new model. So I had the opportunity to get very early access to the Sequoia, and I spent several days with the truck in the deserts of Utah. And this is my initial takeaway. This is my initial impressions of the vehicle in that terrain. So we drove low-speed technical terrain where I was able to spot the vehicle, observe the vehicle very closely throughout the day. And then we also did some higher speed runs where I was able to do tracking shots, capture the vehicle, view the footage in slow motion, really get a sense for the higher speed performance characteristics of this truck. Of course, we'll have a lot more insights once we get a chance to spend more time with the vehicle at launch, but this is kind of our initial impressions on the truck. So the trail that we drove on day one is 7 Mile Rim, which is just north of Moab, Utah. And this is a technical trail. This is something that would tax any stock vehicle. You'll normally see even modified vehicles on this trail. So big ledges, lots of embedded rock combined with soft sand, which really tests not only ground clearance, articulation, and traction control, traction capabilities of the vehicle, but it's going to also really test the driver to make sure that they can get through this particular terrain without any damage. So I noticed that the Sequoia was more nimble and exhibited better articulation than the Tundra overall, which is really just a byproduct of the shorter wheelbase, the softer rear spring rates, and the weight of the wagon configuration overall. So a wagon is going to be heavier over the rear axle than a truck, which will allow for more forced articulation out of that rear end. And that's the same 5-link that you can see available in the 300 series Land Cruiser, also available in the LX600 Lexus. Now, what I did notice is that the Sequoia is lower than the Tundra by several inches, which improves ingress and egress of the vehicle when you look at it as a kind of a family hauler, but that did make navigating larger boulders and ledges a little bit more challenging. However, we were able to complete the trail without any damage, which speaks to the overall attributes of the truck and the thoughtful engineering that went into it. It has a little bit shorter wheelbase than the Tundra, and we had the opportunity to really spot the vehicle carefully through the terrain. So it was able to make it through it without any rock stacking or without needing a recovery and without any noticeable damage. There was a couple light contacts to the front bumper fascia, but nothing that you could even see under inspection. The rear locking differential and that excellent articulation made a significant difference, big difference over the outgoing model. So that allows for much slower speeds and far better control of the vehicle through technical terrain. So some of the other notable takeaways that I have of the Sequoia in the technical terrain was the effectiveness of the shocks. So the overall tuning of the dampers was excellent. So it allowed for full articulation, which means these are longer travel dampers than you would typically see in an SUV. So good articulation, but then also good control. So sufficient rebound control. So when the vehicle would go up and over ledges, we weren't getting a lot of bounce from the front end, which can often lead to either losing traction or damaging an axle. And then the Falcon tires were also very notable. The Wild Peaks have always had excellent adhesion, which is a byproduct of Falcon's time and testing of their racing compounds. So we really see like a track style compound in an off-road tire, which when you combine that with the heavy siping and the lug profile, the tires provided excellent grip on the Utah Slick Rock. It's one of the best factory offerings we've ever seen in an SUV. Thankfully, the wheels are also 18 inches. It would be great if they were 17 inches. At least they're an 18-inch wheel, which allowed for lower air pressure and improved overall carcass deformation. The Sequoia also has several clever considerations for technical terrain. Like it even has plastic rocker panels that run the whole length of underneath the doors, which they were able to deflect these light rock contacts and pop right back into shape. You get a little bit of light scuffing, but you don't get that immediate destruction and deformation that you would have with a metal sill. That's a really big improvement and easy to replace. They said it pops off with a couple clips and then you can replace it easily if you did a little bit more damage. Unfortunately, this Sequoia does not have front recovery points on the TRD Pro, much like we saw with the Tundra. But I do know that there is a solution in the works from Toyota. So they're working really hard on this. They recognize this is something that the Sequoia and the Tundra need. So everybody stay tuned. I think we're going to see some solutions from Toyota parts where you can do a dealer installed improvement and get that front recovery point that you really need. So at speed, we monitored the Sequoia by doing a tracking maneuver. So I'm really interested in seeing how the vehicle performs overall. There's a lot of benefit in being inside the vehicle, but you learn even more when you're outside the vehicle doing a tracking maneuver. So we were able to find a two-track, a sandy two-track that paralleled the highway, and I was able to watch the vehicle closely and record video that I could later watch in slow motion to get a real sense around the damping characteristics and the overall chassis dynamics of the Sequoia. So the Sequoia benefits from really good tuning in those shocks. So it has sufficient damping, but it's also not too firm. You could see that the vehicle wasn't causing a lot of head toss to the driver. So it was able to take full advantage of the compression and extension travel, but also not have any hard bottoming during those events. So that speaks to the overall damping effectiveness, but it also speaks to the configuration of the jounces as well. The spring rates for the vehicle also allowed for full travel, and they are dual rate in the rear, so that way you have this really supple, good overall tractability out of the vehicle because of the frequency tuning of the suspension, but then you do have a little bit more capability when you go to tow or when you come in through the full length of the travel. Didn't exhibit any excessive dive or heavy rebound when crossing those washouts or other dynamic inputs, so that speaks to the overall tuning, the time that Toyota spent engineering that suspension. And it's common for manufacturers to kind of get frequency tuning wrong in SUVs, but I actually noticed that Toyota did that right. And I think it's a combination of the rates of the coils and the valving being perfectly matched to that. So I didn't notice any notable porpoising out of the vehicle. And that's that kind of rocking back and forth that you get through more significant inputs and events. The vehicle was actually very settled. So it would come through an event, and it would come up and the rear would settle down right through the event again. So you didn't see a lot of that excessive porpoising, which we oftentimes see from an SUV. This new Sequoia is really the best Sequoia yet. This Gen 3 has addressed a lot of our concerns with the prior generations, and it really has the heart. It has the DNA of a Land Cruiser, which for those of us as Overlanders, we know what that means. That's a significant improvement for the vehicle. We monitored the vehicle closely over 2 full days of mixed terrain and have confidence it will be an excellent choice for family overlanding or even solo or couple travelers that want additional storage space or to sleep inside the vehicle. So here's my initial pros and cons. Let's go through the pros. There's a significant improvement in technical terrain performance for this Gen 3 Sequoia over the prior generations, and that's mainly because of that rear locking differential. This vehicle is also built on the Land Cruiser platform, shares many of the same suspension components and drivetrain, so that speaks to long-term durability and reliability. We're also seeing a big improvement in efficiency out of this drivetrain. So that 5.7, even though it was a lot of fun as a V8, normally aspirated, we now have a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 that's going to get 30 to 40% better fuel economy around town. All right, so we got to talk about the cons. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is that the Sequoia really needs the same amount of overall ground clearance as the Tundra. For the Tundra TRD Pro, you get about 1.5 inches lift over other Tundra models. And we need to see that in the Sequoia TRD Pro as well. We need that additional lift, particularly in the front, to provide for additional ground clearance. Or at least we need to see that factory designed lift kit option that can be installed at the dealer, which will give about a 3-inch lift and allow the fitment of a 35-inch tall tire. I also noticed that all-wheel drive is not available from the factory. So hopefully future generations of the Sequoia will be provided with the same transfer case as the Land Cruiser or the LX600 so that we get all-wheel drive capability out of this family hauler. And then again, we got to come back to that lack of factory front tow hooks. Everybody knows about it, but we got to mention it because it is an important consideration. Hopefully we do see that fix coming soon from Toyota. Overall, we really enjoyed our couple days with the Sequoia, and we are excited to spend more time with it in the field.